Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the PR Planner with Ben and Mike. I am Ben Lewis, the Director of Public Relations at FPA. Mike?
Mike Byrnes, owner of Byrnes Consulting. I'm actually been published a lot in the press too, almost 400 times, and part of the FPA Coaches Corner. I'm actually excited to do these with Ben. And this is our fourth episode? I think so, right? They're cruising. We're excited to be doing these. But this one is mining great story ideas, I believe. And Ben, I know, is really passionate about it, so I'm going to turn it over to him to go first.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that you're always going to be wanting to try to figure out is what is it you can go to reporters with, because you never just want to go to a reporter and just say, "Hi, I'm Ben Lewis. I'm a financial planner. Use me in your next story." That's not going to do you any good. So what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to kind of come to them with something ready-made that they can actually maybe potentially take and run with. But you want to make sure it's something that is relevant, it's timely, it's something that their consumers, the audience for that publication, for that reporter, is actually going to be interested in. So one of the things that I always talk about is really kind of pay attention to the kind of work that you're doing for your clients, right? So, if you have a client that you're working with on a very particular situation, you really think about that situation and think about, okay, is this something that other people are going to be facing? Is this unique? Is this an issue that maybe other people in this market or other people who have this background or this situation, are they going to be facing this as well? And has anyone actually been writing about it? Has anyone actually been covering this issue? If they haven't, you might be sitting on something there that a journalist might want to cover. So really, you have to be paying attention to the kind of work you're doing for your clients. The other thing I'll also say is just simply pay attention to the questions you're getting from your clients.
Yeah.
Just the simplest question you might be thinking, all right, well, I'll just answer it. But really be thinking about the questions that your clients come to you with, because those clients are real people, and that's the kind of stuff that the journalists want to hear about. So, Mike, what thinking do you have?
Yeah, and to kind of plug the last video we did, I talked about client research and how to find the journalist to figure out who to try to pitch stories to, et cetera. But actually, for this video, I'll talk about a kind of a similar way is using client research to find out what keeps your clients up at night and what worries them. At the end of your survey, you should do an annual survey. You should do it every other year. You might, if you put that question at the end, what keeps you up at night, you might get a couple people, my husband snores, whatever, but you really will probably get some major concerns. And if you see that there's a trend, say a majority of my clients are worried about a possible recession or whatever it might be, then you can pitch the story to the journalist and say, hey, this is what my clients are seeing. The vast majority are concerned about X, Y, and Z. And guess what? Your audience is very similar. I bet your readers or your listeners or your viewers will really eat this up. And so now you're starting to speak their language because you're helping them do their job. And that pitch will be that much more successful. And it really starts with knowing what your clients are concerned about. Or like Ben said, it might be a one-off and knowing what special advice you gave for that one client. But if you have a target market or niches within your client base, like Ben said, it can really repeat. You can see that kind of common services throughout. So I love that advice. That's a fantastic thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mentioned this before, but your clients are always going to come to you with different situations, different questions. One of the tips that I give everybody is I tell everyone, take out a pad of paper, put it by your phone, and I say you call it your pitch pad. All right.
Yeah.
So anytime you get on the phone with the client and they ask a question, just jot it down. Don't spend a lot of time. Just jot it all down. At the end of the week, usually by the end of the week, you're kind of starting to get into the whole period of time where you can start to think about other things outside of your busy work. Take out your pitch pad and review the different kinds of questions and issues that you're dealing with that week, and try to find one that you think is going to have some real relevance, some real resonance with the journalist who's actually covering that topic. Put together a few of your initial thoughts on it, and then go and identify a journalist who's actually covering that, and then try to get that placed. That pitch pad, I'll tell you, can go a long way. The other cool thing, and this is just a little additional bit there, but outside of pitching a reporter with story ideas, when you jot that stuff down, that becomes great potential fodder for your newsletter, for your website, your blog, anything you might do a little video series like Mike and I are doing here. And you might have, this is actually a really great topic. Let me just get on camera and just talk about it. when you start to kind of jot that stuff down, it gives you some insight into what your clients actually care about, what's concerning them, the issues that they're facing, and you can actually start to create content outside of just the pitching that will actually resonate with that group of clients.
Wow, I think we got our first money idea from this. The PR planner pitch pad. We're going to sell them at all the big conferences.
There you go. Yep. Actually, I think we will come up with a whole branded, the PR. Actually, hey, you know what? You brought it up. We may actually have to do it. But the other thing I also wanted to mention, Mike, is you don't only have to go to your clients, but we mentioned in the last video when you start to kind of figure out your media targets, is to actually just again pay attention to what the media is actually writing about, what a journalist is writing about. If you're reading an article by Jason Swag at the Wall Street Journal, and he's maybe talking about something that was, really well done. Jason's a fantastic journalist, but he may have written something that maybe have a bit of a contrarian viewpoint, or maybe Jason didn't dig into this other aspect of the issue that you think is equally important. Use that as an opportunity to then contact Jason, contact that reporter, and just say, hey, look, I read your article. It was fantastic. I really like what you wrote about X, Y, and Z. Demonstrate that you're a consumer of what they write. And say, as I was reading this, there's another side to this issue that you didn't really talk about. Give a few quick bullet points about what that is and say, hey, look, if you'd be interested in talking about this, I'd love to take the time to talk to you. Doing that kind of thing, I think can really help you. Again, it's right there. It's story ideas that you can just mine just from actually reading and watching what they're actually publishing.
Yeah, and that's actually the little follow-up that makes a difference. So when that writer comes back and says, I love that idea, I need to give it a little time because I just published X, Y, and Z, find out, well, when do you think you'll get back to it? And then put the teaser in your calendar to go back to that journalist maybe a week before that deadline and say, hey, you asked me to follow up with you on this. And then boom, you're in. They'll love that idea. They need the great ideas. They have, like we talked about in a previous video, they have these constant deadlines to be churning things out. So you're only helping them with great ideas. So, I love what you said, to take something that you like, but make it your own and find some way to have an offshoot or a different angle or even a different opinion on the whole thing.
Yeah. I think that's one of the key things what you just said there is have an opinion. There's nothing worse than talking to a reporter and all you're doing is regurgitating the same thing they've heard from 50 other people, or the same thing that another journalist at another publication wrote recently. Try to always be unique, a little bit different. Think outside the box. Try to think in a slightly different way that other people are not thinking, because that's when you really demonstrate your value, is being able to provide unique perspective.
Right.
So have something to say. The other thing is, and we'll actually talk a little bit about this in our next video, which is about writing your pitch. I like how we're doing this. We're always teasing up the next, the next video. And that is, pay attention to how you're actually presenting the information. Again, we alluded to this actually in our very first video. We talked about the media today and how things are more bite-sized. You need to almost pitch in that same kind of way. Be thinking about very simple bullet points, quick thoughts. Because again, reporters, they get inundated. They get inundated by pitches and all this other. You're going to have 15 seconds for them to quickly skirt what it is that you're going to say. You don't have time to write 500 words and have the entire lead that you want to present to them buried. You can't do that. And we'll talk more about that in our next video.
Yeah, and I think once you have the relationships, it actually becomes easier because they'll pay a little bit more attention. You might get 30 seconds. But even now, I write a lot for Financial Advisor magazine. I pitched an article, How to Grow in a Recession, or Recession-Proof Growth, or whatever. I came up with 3 different titles, all kind of around the same thing. And the editor, who I know gets 600 emails a day, if not more, wrote me back and said, I love it. Go with topic B. And so that's kind of the beauty of building a relationship up. But earlier on, just to get to that as fast as you can is the key. We'll talk about press releases probably in a future one of these episodes. But sometimes they bury the pitch so far down in the press release that it just is a waste of time. So getting to the point really quickly, and what we've said in previous videos of this ADD society, especially an editor, you got to really help them get to the idea as fast as possible.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, once again, Mike, this has been fun. It's been
I love it.
I like it. And I like the fact that we actually are, starting having some swag called PR Planner Pitch Pad. I love it. This is great. Everyone look for that on Amazon, but potentially, who the hell knows? All right. Thanks again, Mike. As always, I love having you on these things and partnering with you on this. And for everyone else, thank you for tuning in and good luck with your PR plan.
Thanks, man.